Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. I got a request to do a concealer video. So I am going to show you all how I conceal because I have mature skin. So if you would like to see how I do it, keep watching. So I'm doing this because it was a request. Someone's wanting to learn more about concealing under the eye for mature skin. So I am here to help you with that. I do have mature skin, and people do all sorts of different types of ways, but I'm going to show you what works for me. I will bring you in just a little bit closer, and you can see where I have some wrinkles right through here, right there, and I am going to show you what I do to set my under eye to keep it from creasing and looking really, not good. Okay, so I'm going to use two different concealers. This is the It Bye Bye Under Eye. Now I have already put on my foundation, and concealing would be after foundation. So with the It Bye Bye Under Eye, it is a thicker consistency. So you really need to warm it up in between your fingers. And when you are concealing, if you're doing it with your hands, you need to use your ring finger, because the ring finger, this finger right here, is less used. I mean, we usually grab like this, and so our ring finger doesn't get as much like rough skin, and it's easier and it's better for you to use it on your under eye. So what we're going to do now that we have got that warmed up, basically warm it up. So you're going to conceal right here in the front. Now I conceal differently than a lot of younger makeup artists, because one, if you do a whole swipe, that's using a lot of concealer, so you really don't need that much concealer. I conceal right here in the front, and then I conceal out here on the end. And when you blend it in, I will take a wet beauty blender. You really should use a wet beauty blender. And then I will start to tap, and back here, tap and bring it in. And you can still get enough coverage from doing a dot in the front and a dot on the edge to do your complete under eye. Now we're going to use a concealer with a wand, and we will talk about that in just a second. So once you get that in, blend it in. And see, the wet beauty blender helps you to bring that concealer and get it patted down and worked into your skin. And another trick that I have learned is taking just a little bit of setting spray. You can use any kind, and just spray it on the end of your finger, just one little spray if you don't want to use powder, and then just lightly dab that over where you concealed. Now this is if you don't want to use powder. And just keep dabbing over your skin where you set the concealer, and that will set the concealer in place, and you shouldn't get any lines. And then I just dry it. I try not to make any wrinkles in my face while I do that. Okay, that's one way of doing it. And as you can see, it's not like cracking or anything like that. Okay, so A lot of makeup artists, YouTubers, they use a wand, and they will take the wand here up to here. I did that in the beginning of my YouTube journey, but that, number one, is a waste of product, and number two, way too much concealer under the eye. If you have mature skin, you do not need that much. But anyway, it's way too much, and that will crease more if you add too much concealer. So what I like to do is I like to pull it out. I like to take the excess off of the wand. And on this side, we're going to set with powder. And I take a dab here and a dab here. This is the Nanacoco HD concealer, and it is in Fair. And rule of thumb, on your concealer, you want to go at least 1 to 2 shades lighter than your foundation. That's how you match your concealer up. So I like to use my fingers, or some people use a brush. You can use a brush. I don't like to use a brush to do my concealer. So I just, make sure your hands are clean, please. I just like to dab it in. And I try to keep my face set a certain way because I don't want any creasing. I don't want to like wrinkle my face up while I'm doing my under eye. Now this Nanacoco is so creamy and blends so well, and you get a lot more coverage with just a dab, as you can see. That's why it's so important not to use a whole wand or a whole tip of concealer underneath your eye, because when you do that, you're going to have more cakiness and lines if you've got too much product. People use way too much product nowadays on the face. We're using our primers, we're using our foundations, our concealers, our powders, our bronzers, our contour. I mean, that is a lot of product on a face, and the more you add, the more creasing that you're going to get. I like to use this pointed one, and this is by Luxie. So I like to go in with this number 7. Yeah, it's got fingerprints all over it. It's bad for that. It's the number 7 Lift and Illuminate Triple Action Translucent Finishing Powder in Light. This is what I set my under eye with. I love it. It's amazing. So I'm just going to get some on my brush, tap off the excess, and then I'm just going to set my under eye. You always want to set your concealer with something. Now, we did one with setting spray, and we're doing one with powder. So that is 2 ways that you can do it. So these are 2 of my favorite concealers. And I feel like the little trick to the setting spray does work a little bit better. Now, once you use the setting spray, you can go in with your setting powder, but that's just adding a little bit more to your under eye. And the more you add, the more creasing you are going to get. And there we go. Also, if you want to highlight your face with concealer, you can add a little bit to your nose right here. You can put a little bit right through here to highlight right in here. You can do your Cupid's bow and a little bit right there. And that will highlight your natural areas, and that's why I put a pea size right here with my concealer, because that is another natural area that is highlighted when the sun hits your face. And then what you want to do is just blend that in. And I did use the Nanacoco. This is my favorite concealer, and it blends in so well. And you just take your beauty blender, your wet beauty blender, and you want to blend that in. Go right down the bridge of your nose. You don't want to do this and add it everywhere because this is light. You would want to put your contour down the sides of your nose if you contour. You can also take the butt of the blender and do your chin. And now we have highlighted our face. When you do that, you do want to set right through here and here so there's no creasing. And I will use this little brush right here. This is my bling brush. It's an eyeshadow brush, but I'm going to use it because it's closer. So I'm just going to put a little bit of powder right through here. Or you can use your beauty blender if you want to, like some people bake. I do not recommend baking for mature skin. If you are in your 20s, go for it. But if you are in your 40s and up, do not bake, because baking does create creasing. So if you wanted to set your face with powder, you can use your blender, and you want to put it into your powder. This is the Maybelline Fit Me powder, great powder to set with. And then you would just set the areas that you just did with your concealer. And now I'm going to put my bronzer on so you can see
what it would look like if I had on contour. So I'm going to go in with this little e.l.f. bronzer, Forever Sunkissed. It's my favorite. I'm just going to bronze the face, give it a little bit of color.
Then I will go down the sides of the nose. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of highlight to the face. I'm going to go in with this floss highlight. And what you want to do as far as highlighting is just highlight right below your highlight, and then above your brow bone, right below your concealer. You can highlight right here at the edges of the eye if you want to, because that's natural. Highlight your Cupid's bow and your nose, and right here. Pretty much everywhere that you put your concealer you can highlight, but don't put it under your eyes, ladies. I know a lot of you wouldn't, but do not put highlight under here, because you're just going to accentuate your wrinkles, your mature skin. And you don't want to put so much highlight on that it shows your textured skin, the texture of your skin. But as you can see, this is definitely a win, and using your setting spray is definitely a win. And I used the e.l.f. Aqua Primer Mist. and just put a little bit on your finger, dab the excess off. You don't want to go in completely soaked because you're going to mess up your makeup, but just dab on the back and then just set your under eye, and that does help with creasing. And that's it. If you have any more questions, make sure you leave them in the comments or send me a DM. And if you like this tutorial, please give it a big thumbs up. If you have not subscribed, make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you don't miss a beat. This does help me if you do subscribe and like my content. If you leave a comment, it helps me here on YouTube to get up in the algorithm so others will notice me. And guys, I will see you in the next one. Stay blessed.